All right, let's dive right in. Today, we are going to tackle a challenge that, let's be honest, every single researcher faces. How do you take that big, brilliant, but kind of messy idea in your head and turn it into a solid, structured, and really persuasive blueprint?
You know the feeling, right? You've got that spark, that topic you're just dying to explore. But when you actually try to start, it's overwhelming. It feels way too broad, all tangled up, and you don't even know where to begin. Hey, don't worry. That's actually a pretty common starting point for all great research.
And look, it's just like building a house. You can't just show up and start laying bricks randomly. You need a plan. So today, we're going to draw that plan. We're going to show you exactly how to build the research blueprint that gives your curiosity the solid foundation it needs to stand on.
Okay, so every strong blueprint has to start with a cornerstone. In the world of research, that cornerstone is your question. It is the single most critical piece of the puzzle, and it's going to define absolutely everything that comes after it.
You know, as our source material points out with this quote from Adams, a great research question isn't something you just kind of find. It's something you design. It's a precision tool that you have to carefully craft to unlock very specific answers.
In this slide, it shows that crafting process perfectly. You're not going to start with perfection. You might begin with something huge and vague, like, how does technology affect learning? The goal, though, is to whittle that down, to focus it into something you can actually get your hands on, like what are undergraduate students' perceptions of using learning management systems for course delivery? Now that is a question you can actually go out and answer.
The source calls this a sculpting process, which I think is a great way to think about it. And here are the steps. You start with a rough draft of your idea. You evaluate it. Is it clear? Is it focused? Then you go back to the literature to make sure you're filling a real gap. You get feedback, and this is so important, you break it down into smaller, more manageable sub-questions. It's not a one-and-done thing. It's a cycle of constant refinement.
So once you've got that question sharpened up, it's time for the blueprint's stress test. We're talking about the hypothesis. This is where you make a bold, testable prediction about what you think is going to happen.
So what is a hypothesis really? Well, put simply, it's your educated guess. It's a very specific prediction about what you expect to find. And as the source notes, it's absolutely essential for quantitative studies where you're measuring relationships and differences between things.
I love how this slide lays it all out. You're basically making a scientific bet. You've got two competing ideas on the table. First, there's the null hypothesis, which is kind of the default assumption that there's no effect, no difference. Like, for example, there's no difference in exam scores. But then you have your alternative hypothesis. That's your actual prediction that, yeah, students who use online tutoring will get higher scores. Your whole research project is basically designed to see which one of these ideas holds up.
And this is the key thing to remember. A hypothesis does something incredibly important. It acts as the bridge that connects your big, abstract idea to the concrete, measurable evidence you're going to collect out in the real world. It's what makes your theory actually testable.
Okay, so you've got your question, you've got your prediction, now you need the step-by-step construction manual, your action plan. These are your research objectives.
The source calls objectives navigational beacons, and that's just a beautiful way to put it. They're these clear, concrete statements that spell out exactly what your study is going to do to answer your question. They're what keep your whole project on track and focused. But here's the million-dollar question you have to ask yourself. You've got this great plan, but is it realistic? Can you actually pull this off with the time, the money, and the resources you have? To make sure your plan is rock solid, the source points us to the SMART framework. This is just a simple but super powerful checklist. It makes sure your objectives are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant to your main question, and time-bound. This little tool can turn a vague hope into a really rigorous, feasible plan. All right, we have all the pieces for our blueprint. Now let's lock them together and see how they create this powerful, coherent design that just makes sense.
Everything starts right here. Your research question is the core. It's the central hub that defines the entire direction of your project.
Then, branching right out from that core is your hypothesis. That's the testable prediction that really focuses your analysis and gives your study a sharp edge.
And finally, guiding the actual boots-on-the-ground work are your objectives. These are the operational steps you're going to take to answer that question and test that hypothesis.
And here you have it, the complete blueprint. Your questions give you direction.
Your hypotheses focus the analysis, and your objectives put it all into action. The real takeaway here is one word: alignment. When these three things are perfectly aligned, your research proposal isn't just a plan anymore. It's logical, it's cohesive, and it is deeply, deeply persuasive.
So now you have the tools. You have the blueprint for turning that messy idea into a masterpiece of structured inquiry. The only question left is, what amazing thing are you going to build with it?